Hey everybody, Jeff Yenser, CreativeMusicGenius.com. Welcome to Fun with Three Strings, and today we got E major 7 on the Genius board. Right now, the first thing you might notice is that E major 7 has 4 notes in it, right? And we're playing with 3 strings. Now we'll expand beyond 3 strings, but I like to start on 3 because it's easy on the brain, easy on the fingers, and I like to work with shapes also. Like if you're playing in a band or playing multi-track recording, right, you may not need to play all the notes, right? You might have a bass player right here, that's playing the bass notes, or you might have a keyboard, a guitar player, some other friends jamming with you, so you might not have to play all the notes of every chord, right? Because they can cover some of them, right? And sometimes just any group of notes might sound really cool, right? Regardless of what name or number that you put on it. Here's an important note. E major 7 is different than just plain old E7. This is not E major 7, right? That's a different chord, and we're going to cover that in a different video. So let me put my little magnet letters back up here. E major 7 today, right? Made up of E, G sharp, B, and D sharp. Okay, there it is for those of you that like to read sheet music. But what's really more important is the sound the chord makes and where to put your fingers on the fretboard. Okay, so I'm going to start out with this triangle shape. I actually used this shape the other day in a video, right? And I'll tell you about that in a second. But I'm putting my middle finger on the 8th fret of the G string. Now the 3 strings I'm starting out on are the D, the G, and the B. Those 3 strings I'm starting out with, but we'll expand beyond that. Middle finger, 8th fret of the G string, and then I put a finger above and a finger below, right? And that gives me that triangle shape, right? And that gives me 3 out of 4 of the notes of my E major chord. In fact, the only thing I'm missing is that root note. The E itself is not there, right? But say we had an imaginary bass player. I'm going to let my thumb be the imaginary bass player. And I'm just going to keep it really simple and just thump away on this E string, my low E string, conveniently named E, because we're working with the E chord today right now. See how beautiful that sounds? E major, major 7 chord in general, never mind just the E, but all major 7 chords have a certain sound to them. You could call it like 7th heaven, almost like a God mode feel to it. A sweet sound to them. That's kind of the important thing to remember, the quality of what a major 7 chord sounds like. So when you're writing songs and making creations, you can call on that quality if it's what you feel in the vibe of your song. The other day I was making a video on minor chords, and this happens to be these 3 notes. That triangle right there, that's a G sharp minor actually. So if I took away the E out of that chord, that's a G sharp minor. Okay, so that's the interesting thing about it, and it's a pattern in every major 7 chord, right? You take away the root and you have some minor chord. So you could call this G sharp minor over E, like you would see a slash, right? You see the G sharp minor, a slash, and an E for the bass note, right? Same chord, just a different way of spelling it, so to say. Okay, so let's switch it up, and I'm going to put my finger across all those strings on the 9th fret. Okay, just here. I will put up there, and again, if I'm playing on the D, G, and B strings. Now that's a regular E major, right? But if I expand beyond that by a string and I put my ring finger on the 11th fret of the high E string, right below the 12th fret is the 11th fret. I've got another major 7 chord, right? And that's a nice high pitched one, right? Right, and again, these chords, these shapes, are movable. You can move this around up and down the neck and get different chords, right? So if that's an E major 7, if I drop back by a fret, that's a D major 7, right? And so on. Just go through the alphabet of the guitar, right? You can play any major 7 chord. Same thing with minor chords, right? just move it around, right? It's the value of learning shapes. Make it easy on yourself. Don't even worry about the letter names and the numbers and all that. Learn the shapes and be able to move those around and what they sound like, and that'll get you to where you want to be as far as playing with a certain feel and a vibe. Okay, so, and again, you can play this with 3 strings if you wanted a nice high-pitched range, and your imaginary bass player, right? Right, could come in and you get a nice sweet sounding chord. So now let's go back. Let's go back to our triangle, right? And let's move our root note up here to the 7th fret of the A string, right? So we're going to play. Now you see the value of playing this triangle starting out with my middle finger rather than starting out with my index finger, because now my index finger is free to go up behind onto that A string at the 7th fret. See, that gives me the full E major 7 chord. And again, that's movable. D major 7, right? C major 7, right? Get the idea? Move it around, move it around. You got a shape you can use, and you know, you can feel what that sounds like. You know, that's got more bass and mid-range to it. In fact, you could play, your imaginary bass player can even join in right there and just play all those. Okay? And now if you know how to play bar chords, maybe you've been playing for a little while and you got good strong fingers, you know, an E bar chord is right there. And if I put my pinky down on the 11th fret, okay, that's a little more advanced. Don't worry about it if you can't play it like that today, you know, you'll get there. That gives you another E major 7. Let's go to a different spot on the guitar right here at the 4th fret. And once again, I'm just going to grab all 3 strings right there. The 3 highest strings this time, right? The G string, the B string, and the E string, right? I'm going to grab those strings, and I get those 3 notes, right? Which again are 3 notes out of my E major 7 chord. I've got my G sharp right there on the E string, and then I've got that major 7th note, the D sharp above that, and above that I got the blue, which is B, right? The 5th, right? You can line it up with these numbers over here in our rainbow chakra if you're into that kind of thing, right? You can look at it on the circle of fifths, see how those notes relate together. So those 3 notes, and again we could bring in our favorite imaginary bass player, and you get that vibe of that major 7 chord, that nice sweet sound. Okay, so let's add another string into the mix right here. Let's get on our D string at the 6th fret. And we got a little bit more fleshed out chord there, right? And I'm going to go even again, and we already got a magnet there, right? We use that note to play this chord, but we can also use it as part of this shape. Look at how nice that sounds, right? Another E major 7 chord, right? Now, say I move this back here. Yeah, I could lift up this finger. There's a C major 7 chord, right? Very, very easy, and I mean I could play it with different fingers, right? Very easy chord, right? So there's that one. So here it is on the musical staff, right? There's the E, the G sharp, the B, and the D sharp. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Jeff Yenser, CreativeMusicGenius.com. Please hit the tip jar on the site, like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with all your friends. Whoever will watch the thing, send it to them. Thanks for all your support. I really appreciate it.